for coming. And as always, we start with the approval of our minutes from our last meeting of September 27th. If you've had an opportunity to review, if you see any incorrection or corrections that need to be made or anything, if not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to second that motion.
And roll call vote, please. Aye.
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 All right, thank you. We have no scheduled visitors or guests and no unfinished business, so we'll jump right into our new business. Letter A, which is an annexation. 2021-492. Owner is the Sunrise Baptist Church. Location 5525 North Fremont Road. Cameron?
Yes, the application is for an annexation of the existing property. It's just off the intersection of Fremont Road and Highway CC. Surrounding property around this residential parcel. The property is a residence. At this time, it will remain as a residence. It is on an existing water system for connection. However, they're in the process of making a connection to the public sewer system. The existing septic tank on this residence is failing, and they have an environmental issue and concern is the reason why they're making this application for annexation and connecting the sewer system. The policies and procedures for needing city services is you are required to annex in the city if you are compact contiguous and you need those services. At this time, the applicant does not plan to change the use of the structure. And so they have opted not to request a rezoning or zoning of the property as well. It'll come in the city and remain the zoning as in the county. But at the time of the applicant in the future does pursue any further improvements or development of the property, they would be obligated to come back through for a zoning request for approval. In evaluating this and confirming what the Public Works Department staff is recommending approval of the annexation.
Okay, thank you. Megan, is there anybody on Zoom we need to worry about? We're good? Okay. Well, I believe with an empty house, we'll open and close the public portion. I don't see anyone here, so we'll open it up to the commission for any questions or comments. And if not, we could have a motion. Any questions, comments? Someone would like to motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve based on recommendation of the staff.
Headley has a second. Roll call vote, please, Megan, if you would. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Second item is B, letter B, an ordinance of the city of Ozark, Missouri, amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, chapter 405 zoning regulations to establish the general mixed use zoning district. Cameron?
Yes, in your packet is the final revised draft of the mixed use zoning ordinance that staff is proposing. We have went through the ordinance and we believe we've caught all the revisions or comments that has been provided to us. Again, staff is excited about this new ordinance and are looking for opportunities to implement this ordinance. If you guys have any questions, we're welcome to answer those, but we are looking for a recommendation of approval of this ordinance to the board of Aldermen.
Thank you.
It's the latest, yes, yep, just to address the latest comments.
I still need to open and close, correct? On this, since it's voted on?
Yep.
Okay, so I will open and close the public participation part and turn it over to the commission for any questions or comments before we proceed. Anyone?
think the only question I had, I know these are just definitions on the live work unit, but is that restricting in any way that the business owner has to live in the apartment or the above, the residential living space?
Not necessarily that space above.
That's the only question I had, is making sure that that wasn't a requirement.
The only question I had in here was, do we have something for Airbnb type? Addressing that, is that a hotel or what is that?
Yeah, at this time, there is nothing in place to restrict or limit or have an ordinance over Airbnbs. The city doesn't have any policies in place on that. This in no way is considering the Airbnbs. At the time, if there is a desire to look into Airbnbs, that would be a separate ordinance that would be brought before the commission.
There's nothing in the city on that, right? That's, okay. So that's something to apply later on.
Yep.
Thanks.
And as a reminder, guys, it just hit me, anytime a comment or question, we need to get on our mics. So it'll take a few more moments, but let's, probably for Megan's benefit more than anyone's, right? Go ahead.
Cameron, it's at the last page, section 4, number 5, I believe, but it says lots located with the general mixed use district shall have a maximum building height of 45 feet. But then underneath that, it says buildings that exceed 45 feet. So can you just explain that?
Yeah, the maximum 45 feet is at the building setback line as determined by the chart. So every zoning property has a front yard, side yard, rear yard setback. So it's 45 feet at that line. If they want to go taller, then every 1 foot higher, they've got to set back 1 foot from that setback line. So it kind of creates what is referred to a lot of times a bulk plane. So it's kind of a 45-degree plane. So as higher you go, the further from your property line you'll move back.
So is there any concern that we would have a skyscraper, you know, like a 6-foot story building or something that just is really going to stick out?
Yeah.
In our
No concerns on our part. I mean, if there is a design and construction, it would comply to building codes. If there's any concern with the fire and emergency services, then they will make appropriate precautions and implementations to service that. But at this time, we do not see a concern of that. I will convey that in another application for another project that staff is reviewing, they're looking at doing a 60-foot high structure as the max. But even with that, at this time, we have no concerns.
Okay.
45 is easily achieved by some of the existing apartments or maybe even around the square with some of the buildings.
Okay.
Anyone else? RJ, anything? If no more comments or questions, I would entertain a motion to approve. If so will be it.
I move to approve the mixed use ordinance.
Okay, second.
I will second.
Thank you. Roll call vote when you get a second there. Megan, please. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Well, this is going to be short and sweet. We have any discussion, anything, anybody want to bring up anything just to talk about it? Spend time on anything on your mind, anything at all? Commission comments.
The long range school district board meeting's coming up, the final meeting for that. So is there any, just be aware of that. There's gonna be a measure in April coming up for the school district. So if you guys have anything, I'm a part of that you feel like needs to be known for schools, you know, certainly send it my way and I'm happy to provide input for that.
There it goes. There it is.
I was just curious a little bit more since you brought up Airbnb. Why don't we have any ordinances for it, or why should we not have any ordinances for it? Just curious.
There was a discussion about Airbnbs maybe a few years ago, and at that time, the desire of the board was to just kind of evaluate the existing conditions we have. We were watching an ordinance in Springfield that was going through the process. In addition, the state was evaluating Airbnbs as well. But at this time, staff hasn't necessarily seen the need or the expedition of trying to create an ordinance for Airbnbs and restrict those. We do have some rental properties, and we do actually have a lot of rental properties that are not Airbnbs, but are permanently type rental properties. But again, at this time, there just hasn't been a push to draft anything and put in place for Airbnbs.
Anyone else? Specifically, we'll just go around. RJ, you got anything? Brooke, Wim, you good now?
I'm good
You're
now.
good
You
now?
let me talk.
Okay.
The suspense is there. You let me-
Pete? Next, Lexi? Headley?
Sign up for the Thanksgiving turkey trot around the OC, should be fun, about 2 years in a row. You can walk too, my wife walks it, it's a lot of fun. And then you can eat as much turkey as you want, so it's 2 days.
Oh, Cameron, anything?
Just as a heads up, next month, we do plan to have a commission training. Not sure we're gonna set that at 6 or 7. We haven't decided that, but we may look at doing it at 6 o'clock like we did the last time. We'll also be proposing the calendar for next year's meeting. Should be fairly similar to this year's meetings. And then we do plan to have a pretty lengthy packet, probably with quite a bit of turnout in the audience of just questions and seeing what's going on for a potential large development in the city.
Megan, your turn. Okay, Brooke, you had something? I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
So is it possible to get the packets, if you print them on Friday, could we pick them up Friday afternoon? Okay, so that would be helpful. Thank you.
Well, if nothing further, we would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a first.
I'll second.
Pete will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone, for being here.